TIFU by never telling my high school crush how I truly felt before she moved across the country. I regret not confessing my feelings for her years ago. It still stings. We were close during high school. We met in sophomore year during debate club. I was shy and awkward back then. She was outgoing and funny. I admired her quick wit and her ability to make friends with anyone. We bonded over shared interests, old movies, alternative music, and a mutual disdain for our small town. We spent countless hours together studying, gossiping, and just generally goofing off. I remember one specific night like it was yesterday. We stayed up all night watching old horror movies. It was at her house because her parents were out of town. We ate too much pizza and drank sugary soda. We laughed until we cried at some of the terrible special effects. At one point, she leaned against me while we were on the couch. I could feel her hair against my arm. My heart pounded in my chest. I wanted to tell her how I felt right then and there. I chickened out. The moment passed, and we went back to watching the movie. I told myself it was better this way. I was probably reading too much into it. I went home that morning feeling both happy and disappointed. I was happy to have spent the night with her. I was disappointed in myself for not being brave enough to say anything. I replayed the night over and over in my head. I analyzed every word and every gesture. I tried to find hidden meanings. I came up with nothing. I resolved to move on. I decided to accept that we were just friends. This resolution lasted about a week. I developed a crush on her pretty quickly. I tried to bury it. I was convinced she saw me as just a friend. She never gave me any indication she felt otherwise. I didn't want to ruin our friendship with an awkward confession. So, I remained silent. I suffered in silence watching her date other guys. I tried to be supportive. Inside, I was always a little jealous. Senior year approached. Everyone started talking about college plans. She announced she got accepted into a university across the country, California. I was staying local, attending the state university an hour away. The news hit me hard. I knew this was my last chance. I still couldn't bring myself to say anything. I knew long distance would ruin us. I'd seen it happen to other couples. They promised to visit. They promised to call. Life got in the way. Promises broke. People changed. I didn't want that for us. I wanted to be near her. I wanted to be part of her life. I realized I needed to tell her how I felt. The problem was, saying it felt impossible. I worried about ruining our friendship. I valued that above everything else. But I knew if I didn't say something, I'd regret it forever. I spent weeks agonizing. I practiced different scenarios in my head. None of them felt right. I finally decided I couldn't wait any longer. I had to say something before she left. I needed to know if there was a chance. I considered writing her a letter. I thought about calling her. Ultimately, I decided to tell her in person. I thought it would be easier to gauge her reaction. I hoped she felt the same way I did. I tried to come up with the right words. I wanted to express my feelings honestly. I didn't want to scare her away. I just wanted her to know. We had planned to go to the town's annual summer festival the weekend before she left. It was our tradition. We'd been going together since we were sophomores. I saw this as my last opportunity. I envisioned this grand romantic gesture. I'd tell her how I felt under the fireworks. Corny, I know, but I was 18. I thought it was perfect. The day of the festival arrived. I was a nervous wreck. My palms were sweating all day. I rehearsed what I wanted to say in my head a million times. We met at the entrance. She looked beautiful. She wore a simple sundress and a flower in her hair. I instantly forgot every carefully crafted line. I managed to say hello. We walked inside. The crowd was thick. Loud music played from every direction. I felt overwhelmed. I just followed her. She seemed to know exactly where to go. We stopped at a food stand. I bought us both lemonade. I spilled some on my hand. I felt like an idiot. She laughed. It made me feel a little better. We wandered through the booths. I looked at all the crafts. I did not see anything I wanted to buy. I tried to relax. I wanted to enjoy the day with her, but I could not shake the feeling of dread. The day passed quickly. We rode the Ferris wheel. We screamed during the scary parts of the roller coaster. We won a stuffed animal at the ring toss. She gave it to a little kid who was crying. I thought that was nice. We took pictures. I will keep them forever. I knew what I had to do. I had put it off long enough. My chance was running out. I needed to tell her how I felt. I took a deep breath. We walked around, played games, and ate junk food. It was fun, like always. But this time, there was an undercurrent of sadness. We both knew this was the end of an era. As the sun began to set, we found a spot on the hill overlooking the town square. The fireworks were about to start. This was my moment. I took a deep breath. I opened my mouth to speak. Then, her phone rang. It was her boyfriend at the time. She answered it. I internally groaned. They talked for what felt like an eternity. He was having some kind of crisis. He needed her. She apologized to me. She said she had to go. She gave me a quick hug. She thanked me for a fun day. Then she left. I watched her car drive away. I felt disappointed. I had psyched myself up to finally tell her how I felt. The timing never seemed right before. We were always with other people. Or something else would happen. This day had been perfect. We spent the afternoon laughing. We explored the town. Then we found that hill to watch the fireworks. It felt like the ideal moment. Now the moment was gone. I walked to my own car. I drove home slowly. I tried to process what had just happened. I knew her boyfriend had issues. She often talked about them. I understood she felt obligated to help him. Still, I couldn't help feeling frustrated. I had waited so long to say something. I worried I had missed my chance. Maybe I would never get another opportunity like that. I stood there alone on the hill as the fireworks exploded overhead. The vibrant colors seemed mocking. They were a painful reminder of the confession I never made. The opportunity one missed. I went home that night feeling defeated. I replayed the evening in my head. I wondered what would have happened if her phone hadn't rung. She moved to California the next day. We stayed in touch for a while. We exchanged emails and texts. We even had a few phone calls. But gradually, we drifted apart. Life got in the way. We made new friends, had new experiences. Our lives diverged. I felt bad about it. I knew I should have made more of an effort. I should have visited her. I should have called more often. But long distance is hard. I was also young and selfish. I prioritized my own life and my own needs. I thought we would always be friends. I was wrong. I still thought about her sometimes. I wondered what she was doing. I wondered if she was happy. I wondered if she ever thought about me. I looked her up on social media a few times. I saw she was doing well. She seemed to have a good life. I felt a pang of something. I am not sure what it was. Years passed. I moved on. I met other women. I had relationships. Eventually, I got married. I built a life. But I never forgot her. She always remained a what if in the back of my mind. Recently, I stumbled across her profile on social media. She was married too. She had kids. She looked happy. I saw a post mentioning she was back in town visiting family. A wave of nostalgia washed over me. I debated whether or not to reach out. I decided against it. What was the point? It was too late. The past is the past. I thought about her a lot after seeing her profile. Memories resurfaced that I thought I had forgotten. I remembered specific conversations, small details about her laugh, and the way she used to bite her lip when she was concentrating. I replayed moments in my head, trying to understand why things ended the way they did. I couldn't come up with any solid answers. We were young and made mistakes. That's all I could figure. I wondered if she ever thought about me. I wondered if she ever regretted things. I wondered if she had a completely different memory of our time together. I pushed these thoughts away. I had moved on with my life, and I assumed she had too. There was no reason to dwell on what could have been. I tried to distract myself. I spent time with my family. I went to some of my favorite local spots. I even ran into a few old acquaintances from high school. It was nice catching up, but I couldn't shake the feeling of something unfinished. I felt like a chapter of my life was still open. This made her message even more unexpected. I didn't know what to expect from meeting up with her. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I just knew I had to see her. I needed to know what the years had done to both of us. Then, a few days later, I received a message from her. She said she saw I was also in town. She was wondering if I wanted to grab coffee. I was surprised. I hesitated. Then, I said yes. We met at a local coffee shop. It was awkward at first. We hadn't seen each other in over a decade. We made small talk. We caught up on each other's lives. She told me about her kids, her husband, her job. I told her about my wife, my house, my career. The coffee was bad. I should have ordered tea. The conversation flowed more easily after the initial awkwardness passed. I was glad we met somewhere public. It made things feel safer. I did not want to give her the wrong impression. I just wanted to reconnect. Finding out what she had been up to seemed important to me. I had often wondered about her. I was curious about her life. I wondered if she ever thought about me. I knew she was married. I knew I was married. Meeting up seemed like a low-stakes way to satisfy my curiosity. We talked for a long time. The coffee shop started to empty out. I noticed the staff cleaning up around us. I did not want to leave. I felt comfortable. I felt like I was talking to an old friend. The years melted away. It felt like we were teenagers again. We remembered funny stories from school. We talked about mutual friends. I had not thought about some of those people in years. It was fun to remember the past. I felt a sense of nostalgia. Then, she changed the subject. Eventually, the conversation shifted. We started reminiscing about high school. We laughed about old memories. Then, she said something that caught me off guard. She said she had a confession to make. She told me she had a huge crush on me back then. She said she always regretted never telling me. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I told her I felt the same way. We were both too afraid to say anything. We were young and foolish. I had liked her for a long time. I had worried about ruining our friendship. I finally decided it was worth the risk. I was relieved she felt the same. We talked for hours that night. I do not remember what we discussed. I mostly remember being happy. I felt a connection that I had not experienced before. I thought this would change my life. I thought we would be together forever. I realize now how naive I was. I was wrong about the future. We did not stay together. We dated for a few months. She broke up with me unexpectedly. She did not give me a clear reason. She just said she needed space. I was devastated at the time. I did not understand what went wrong. I tried to talk to her about it. She refused to discuss it further. I eventually accepted her decision. I moved on. Years later, she contacted me. She then told me about that night at the summer festival. She said her boyfriend at the time was being overly dramatic. He had called her about something minor. She admitted she regretted leaving me that night. She said she had a feeling I was going to say something important. We sat in silence for a moment. The weight of unspoken words hung heavy in the air. A decade of missed opportunities and what-ifs. I finally broke the silence. I asked her about her job. She told me about her coworkers. I asked about her husband. She said he was a good man. I asked about her kids. She showed me pictures. I showed her pictures of my kids. We talked about our spouses. We talked about our homes. We talked about our lives. I learned she had a good life. It was the life she wanted. I was glad she was happy. I told her I was happy, too. We moved on to lighter subjects after that. We talked about old friends. We remembered funny stories from high school. We discussed teachers we liked. We made fun of teachers we hated. We caught up on local gossip. We talked about current events. We found common ground. We remembered shared experiences. It became easier to talk. We began to relax. I felt a sense of comfort. I realized the years melted away. I felt like we were teenagers again. We talked for hours. We laughed, we cried, we reminisced. It was cathartic. It was also a little painful. It was a reminder of what could have been. We both agreed that we were happy with our lives now. We had found love and happiness. But there was still a part of me that wondered what would have happened if we had been braver back then. If her phone hadn't rung. If I had just spoken up. Before we parted ways, she gave me a hug. She thanked me for meeting her. She said she was glad we finally had this conversation. I told her I felt the same way. As I walked away, I couldn't help but feel a sense of bittersweet closure. I thought about our conversation on my drive home. I replayed some of the things she said in my head. It was good to hear her perspective on things that happened a long time ago. I had always wondered if she felt the same way I did. Now I know. It doesn't change anything, but it helps me understand things better. I think it helps me understand myself better, too. I went over the details with my wife when I got home. I did not want to keep any secrets from her. She knows about my past feelings for this woman. My wife listened patiently as I told her everything. She understood why I needed to have that conversation. She said she was glad I was able to get some closure. I am grateful to have such an understanding and supportive partner. The what if will probably always be there, but at least now I know I wasn't alone in my feelings. I'm happily married now. I love my wife. This wasn't about wanting to change anything now. It was about acknowledging a part of my past. A part one had kept hidden for so long. A part that finally had a voice. The TIFU is that I let fear dictate my actions all those years ago. I missed out on a potential relationship because I was too scared of rejection. It's a lesson I'll never forget. I'll always wonder what could have been. But I'm also grateful for the life I have now. It is strange realizing she also felt the same way.